welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going over my Barbarian Sentinel tank build. We're going to try and keep this video not too long, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And pull open our character sheet here, and we're going to start with the ability scores. You can see all strength, all con for my ability scores. Strength for the stamina regeneration physical damage bonus, and constitution for maximum hit points and AP gain. That's really all there is to cover in the ability scores. All strength, all con. Moving right along, we're going to look at our armor kits, and enchantments. So just starting on the left side, we have our Prestige Visor Helm, 5% damage increase in the Undermountain. Utility slot, we're using the Tactical Enchantment. Chest, we're using the Bark Hide. Defense slot, we're using one Gigantic. And enchantment slot, we're using the Bark Shield enchantment. I like to keep one Gigantic enchantment in a defensive slot just for the deflection gain. Bracers, we're using the Sentinel of the Stars bracers with the at will perk. Also using a tactical enchantment in the utility slot here. Main hand, the offhand, we're using the Alabaster Great Sword and Alabaster Sword Knot. Just to take a quick look at the artifact modification that I'm using the Enhanced Challenger Slash for the 10% damage increase to our Challenger Slash. Challenger Slash is of course one of our main threat generating skills, so I chose to put that damage increase on that skill. Looking at our artifact modification for our Sword Knot, critical severity just for a little bit increased damage from that, and enhanced health at 9,475 currently. You can get this up to 10,000. I just haven't been that lucky yet. So boots, we're using the Sentinel of the Stars Sabatons. Gain 250 power for each enemy you're engaged in battle. And using a dark enchantment in this utility slot. And then for our armor kits, all of our armor on the left side here is increased with max HP kits. Looking at our accessories on the right side, we're using the reflective collar, one dark enchantment, and radiant enchantment in our offense slots. All radiant enchantments in all of our offensive slots except for one tenebrous enchantment. Reflective collar goes with the mirror plated belt. Using a dark enchantment, of course radiant enchantment in all of our defensive slots. Reflective collar, mirror plated belt, coupled with the erratic drift globe artifact for the set bonus. So anytime we activate our artifact, all nearby allies gain 5,000 deflection, foes nearby suffer minus 5,000 critical strike and minus 5,000 deflection while the drift globe is active. Our rings, we're using one Ebonized Ward ring with the Swordmaster's perk. Again, radiant enchantments in our defensive slots for the HP gain. We're using the Ebonized Assault ring with the Swordmaster's perk. Radiant enchantments in our offensive slots again. And then currently we're using the Hallister's Business shirt and the Prestige Ward trousers. These are not the two shirt and pants that I would like to have. I would like to have the shirt and pants of the outfitter for the stats that are on those specific pieces. However, I just haven't got lucky with the drops yet to get those. And then all of our accessory pieces on the right side are enhanced with stamina gain. For artifacts, we're using Staff of Flowers, the Trobriand's Ring, and I'm still using the Wheel of Elements. I like this for the max HP and stamina regeneration. Just take a quick look at our stats. Currently 655k health, 115k power, 81k armor pen, 101k defense. Crit strike's a little bit low. Need to get that up to 80k. Critical avoidance is a little bit high. 92 is a little bit more than what we need. But we still got a little bit of balancing to do on this character, so once we get some more stuff changed around, these will even out some. That about does it for the gear and enchantments, armor kits, and everything that we're currently using, so we're going to move right along to our mounts. For mount insignias, we're using Prosperity, a couple Dominance, and Fortitude wherever we can. All legendary, as many as we can. Still have 2 insignias that I need to upgrade, just haven't gotten there yet. For our insignia bonuses, we're using 2 Survivor's Blessings. When you deflect, receive a heal over time. We're using 2 Barbarian's Revelries. On crit strike, receive a heal. And I'm using 1 Gladiator Guile. I like this for the movement speed when stamina is high and stamina regen when stamina is low. Alternately, you could use some Knight's Rebukes as opposed to the Survivor's Blessing or Barbarian's Revelry. That's kind of up to you. But this is how I'm running right now, and it works pretty well. I get quite a bit of self-healing from these insignia bonuses, coupled with my tactical enchantments with the incoming healing bonus. Mount powers, Stalwart, 25,000 max hit points. This is from the Triceratops mount. There's a legendary version of this that I don't have yet. It's fairly expensive, but it gives 50,000 instead of 25,000. For our combat power, we're using the Tensor's Transformation. This is pretty good skill. It is a little bit wonky to get off in combat. You kind of have to time it a little bit to get it off seamlessly. But you do get quite a bit of power increase and everything from this, and it has a pretty low recharge time of just 1 minute, so you can use this quite often, and you do get quite a big bonus from it. So this is what we're using. That does it for the mounts. Moving on to companions. You want to get yourself a legendary augment companion. Bullet Pup, which is what I'm using, is currently, I believe, the best in slot. But pretty much any augment companion that you can get and get to legendary as fast as possible will suffice. Of course, all rank 15 bondings. Want to kind of prioritize your bondings and get those to 15 as fast as possible, because you're going to get the most increase out of getting your bondings to 15 versus getting, a couple enchantments to 15. As far as companion gear goes, you can pretty much use whatever you need to get whatever stats you're trying to reach capped. If you're too high on one, not high enough on another, it's pretty easy to swap out some companion gear for supplementing those skills. Currently what I'm using is the silver icon of the companion, empowered runestones, Briarvine sword knot of the companion, empowered runestones, and the chained icon of the companion with empowered runestones. As far as your companion slots, for our purposes in tanking, we use all HP, and these are all legendary stats that you're going to be seeing, so keep that in mind. Currently using potency here, increased power, maximum hit points combat advantage, maximum hit points defense, incoming healing bonus and hit points and critical avoidance, and hit points. And that covers everything for the mount or companions, so we're just going to keep this moving, head right on into boons. So for our boons on the tier 1, we have power, critical avoidance, and HP. Tier 2, power, defense, HP. Tier 3, power, HP, companion influence. I took the companion influence here simply because you're going to get a bigger bonus to all stats taking companion influence versus just the increase to the single stat. And awareness isn't all that great, so we just passed on taking that and took the companion influence. In tier 4, I'm taking power, deflection, and HP. Tier 5, we're taking our incoming healing bonus and stamina regeneration. Stamina regeneration, very important for Barbarian tank, and that's why I've taken stamina regeneration here, as well as reinforced all my jewelry kits with stamina regeneration, and taken stamina regeneration and a couple other things. And I'll cover why stamina regeneration is so important here in a few minutes. For our master boon, I don't really find any of these to be all that useful, so we just ended up taking the blessed resilience for the possible heal over time, health increase, and stamina heal. Still missing a couple of boons that we'll finish out getting here in the next few days, but for right now this is what we've got. That about covers it for boons, so we're just going to move right along into our powers now. So for our at-wills, we have Sure Strike and Challenger Slash. These are the two at-wills that I always have equipped, never changes. I don't find either of these other two at-wills to really be worth anything. For our encounter powers, for our end-game tanking, which is what we're primarily talking about right now, we use our Punisher's Charge, or Punishing Charge. This is a great gap closer to help you get to enemies first, so you can get there first and start doing damage, and that'll help you maintain threat a lot better if you can get to enemies first and start doing some damage, especially charge in with your Punishing Charge and then start hitting with your Challenger Slash. Then we have our Come and Get It. Threaten nearby enemies, placing yourself at the top of their threat list. Also draws enemies in. So this is a really great skill for use your Punishing Charge, jump into the pack of mobs, hit everybody with your come and get it, pull them all to you, and then start hitting with your Challenger Slash. And then lastly, we have our Indomitable Battle Strike. This is just a really massive hit. Also can help with threat generation and can even pull threat back if it's temporarily taken from you for a second. For our daily powers, only ever use 2 daily powers. Battle High increases your maximum hit points by 35% and restores the amount increased. And Savage Advance, lunge at target enemies dealing physical damage, magnitude 1400, reduces target's damage dealt by 5%. So not only does Savage Advance do a pretty large magnitude hit, but then it also reduces the target's damage dealt to you by 5% for 12 seconds. Just a brief look at the Barbarian Sentinel mechanics. We have our block, which is our shift mechanic. Raise your sword up and block incoming attacks. Your tab mechanic, unstoppable. So whenever your rage meter is full, hit your tab and go into unstoppable, and this will block all incoming attacks without you actually having to block. This is a very, very important thing for the Barbarian. And then lastly, Will of the Sentinel. Increase threat generation, increase maximum hit points by 40%, decreases damage dealt by 10%. This is basically the same across the board for all tanks. It's just called something different for each class of character. Class features. So just briefly, we will cover the class features that I use when tanking any scaled content or even LOM versus the skills that I use for tanking something like Tom. So anything currently except for Tom, we would have equipped our Challenger's Charge, which makes Punishing Charge now place you at the top of the target's threat list. So anytime you use Challenging or Punishing Charge on an enemy, it's automatically going to be aggroed on you. And then Threatening Presence just increases overall threat generation. So these are the 2 skills or class features that I would be using doing any content from LOM and down. In the case that I'm running Tom, Threatening Presence would be changed to Mighty Vitality. If we take a quick look at our character sheet, we went from 655k HP to 721k, but our power was reduced from 115k to 110k, which is perfectly fine. Still a good amount of power for a tank, and we have no problem holding aggro like this. As far as feats go, only a couple feats are really useful when it comes to tanking. We won't cover the use of the other feats in this video. That will be in a future video when we talk about other things that we do with our Sentinel when we're not tanking. So basically just went across the top row here. Frustrating Slash whenever you hit an enemy with Sentinel Slash, which we don't use Sentinel Slash, so this is basically useless to us anyway. But we also don't use Mighty Leap for the leap into action, so that's equally useless. So it didn't really matter which one of these we took. Indomitable Might is actually pretty good. Increases Indomitable Strike by an additional 200 magnitude, but still decreases the magnitude as the enemy's hit points decrease. So basically, the higher the enemy that you hit's hit points are, the more magnitude of an attack you're going to get from your Indomitable Battle Strike. Sure Slam, Sure Strike now has 10% chance to increase the magnitude of your next Bounding Slam. Don't use Bounding Slam, so that was useless. Disarming Takedown, when used under the effect of Unstoppable, Takedown now increases the target's damage taken from physical attacks by 10%. We do use Takedown on occasion, but not for tanking. So we went ahead and took this one. And on the move, Not So Fast now increases the movement speed of self and nearby allies by 20% for 4 seconds. 20% increase for 4 seconds isn't that great. We do use Not So Fast on occasion, but not enough to worry about taking this feat. And we don't use it for tanking. So, Crushing Advance. Savage Advance no longer knocks back enemies, but does reduce the target's damage dealt by 5% for 12 seconds. This is actually really good for us because we do use Savage Advance, and I hate knockback. So this takes the knockback away from Savage Advance, and it gives us that 5% damage dealt decrease for 12 seconds. And lastly, Extended Unstoppable. Come and Get It now grants the effect of Extended Unstoppable for 10 seconds, causing the effect of Unstoppable to persist for an additional 4 seconds. We do use Come and Get It, so now when we use Come and Get It under the effect of Unstoppable, we get an additional 4 seconds from our Unstoppable, which is pretty good. So that does it pretty much for the powers. Really quickly, we're just going to take a look at our potions and foods that we use. Primarily, I don't find much reason to use anything outside of, Potion of Power and our Empowered Chain of Scales. This is perfectly adequate for doing any content all the way up to LOM. There are some other things like the Watermelon Sorbet and stuff like that if you wanted to spend some Astral Diamonds to get some of those kinds of foods, or some Guild Marks to get some more power increased foods. But for tanking purposes, like I say, all the way up to LOM, I don't have any issues with only ever using these two things. When we talk about Tom, we are going to be using our Caprese and our Prime Rib. And just to show you what that looks like, if we use one of these real quick, so that increased our HP from 721 to 761. Of course, our HP determines what our stamina or block is. So the higher our HP, the higher our stamina, and the more we can block. Again, block is super cool for the Barbarian with the Unstoppable effect, which I'll show you here in just a second. But as you can see, from 600 or 761k HP, we're looking at a pretty good stamina pool, so we can block quite a bit of incoming damage. So that pretty much covers it for all of the characters. So we're just going to do a quick rundown on the rotation. So here we are in the guild castle, staring down some target dummies. And if we just imagine that these target dummies are, a pack of mobs or a pack of enemies, we're going to run in, and as soon as we're close enough to use our charge, we're going to do that. Immediately start dropping some slashes, drop our IBS, and then use our Come and Get It. And at that point, we would use our mount power, and basically just rinse and repeat this process for every pack of mobs that you come to. Of course, at any given point, say this mob off to the left, somebody's attacking, and it gets pulled off of us, we can just turn over here and hit it with our charge, and it immediately be aggroed back on us. And then, of course, you go through this rotation, just rinse and repeat, basically. For higher content, the way that we use our unstoppable is we would basically do this same rotation. We charge in, start dropping some slashes, hit with our IBS, use our come and get it, keep going through there, building our rage. Once our rage gets full, we can be all the way down to, approximately, half health, if you don't have a very good healer behind you healing you. And once you get down to half health, your rage is all the way full, we can just pop our unstoppable, and our health regeneration, our self heals that we get from our insignia bonuses, and our incoming healing bonus that we get from our enchantments will basically have us healed all the way back up to full health by the time our unstoppable runs out. So that's basically all you have to do for that. If you follow that rotation, you won't have any trouble. And that's pretty much going to do it for this video. If you have any questions or have anything that you would like me to cover in a little more detail in regards to anything that I talked about in this video, feel free to drop a comment. Feel free to drop a like if you enjoyed this video and it was helpful to you in any way. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more Barbarian Sentinel content in the future. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next video.